Hello. So this is one of many videos, hopefully, that are intended to explain the whole process of compiling up our jQuery mobile app and then submitting it to the various app stores. This particular video is dealing with how to sign your code for iOS distribution. So what are we going to have to do? Again, code signing. Hopefully, there's a reading or something made up about this, but code signing is basically just authenticating the app and making sure that when it's put up for distribution, that it can be traced back to somebody, i.e., us. And you need to create various security code signing products. In this case, a distribution certificate and a provisioning profile. And this video is going to show you how to do all that stuff and also possibly a bit of troubleshooting. The first thing that we're going to do is create a distribution certificate so that we can create our provisioning protocol. We will, from our distribution certificate, create a P12 key store and add both of these things to Phonegap and hopefully use this to upload an app version to iTunes Connect. To get started, we begin in our Apple developer account. You just go to Account and go to Certificates, Identifiers, and Profiles. The first thing we're going to do is create a new distribution certificate. So here I'm in Certificates, press 1 for all, and this is for App Store. Hit continue. And this gives you some very straightforward instructions on what you're supposed to do. I should have mentioned that you need to be doing this on a Apple computer. Possibly you can do it on, you can probably do it on Windows. It's just easier for our purposes to do this on a Mac. So you can use one of the Office iMacs, or if you have a MacBook or whatever, do it there. Basically, it's telling you that you need to open up the Keychain Access app. So that'll be in your application folder in Applications, Utilities. Keychain Access, is it there? Yes, it is. Or you can do the much easier way and just type Keychain Access into Spotlight. We're going to start by just keep on your login keychain My Certificates. You'll see that we already have one iPhone distribution, Friends and Alumni of Jeep. That is for another app. There's probably an easier way to do this, but we're doing the way that works. If you have a better way, definitely write it up and we'll change our documentation. But for now, I'm just going to follow the directions that are here on the website, and it's telling me to go up to Keychain Access, Certificate Assistant, request a certificate from a certificate authority. It tells you what to put into these fields, so I'm just going to do the email that I signed up for the developer account with. Common name, this is going to be the name on the certificate. I'm going to name it something very descriptive. I had to do this a whole bunch of times, and I was getting confused on what was what, so I am totally descriptive as possible on this. So I'm going to call this YEI Food Justice 2015 8/15, because that's the time that I'm creating it. This all makes sense to me. See a certificate authority email address, leave that blank, hit save to disk, hit continue. I'm going to save this to the desktop, and again, I'll just name this something. Done with that. And it's going to ask you to upload it to Cool. It just created the certificate. What we did was that we created a certificate request or something and then gave it to them. Now we get this thing. If you know what's going on, kudos. I totally don't. I'm going to download that. That goes to my downloads folder. It's telling you to back up a copy. I'm going to back that up in a minute. But for now, well, might as well back it up now. moving this into my code signing folder. Just to keep everything straight, I created a code signing folder within this apps work area. I'm going to double click on this and it backs up the certificate in my keychain. If I need to move this certificate somewhere else, I have the certificate right here, but I like having things in my keychain because the keychain is a very useful utility. Okay, step 1, create distribution certificate. That is done with. Now we need to create the provisioning profile. To do that, we can go down to here, provisioning profiles, hit distribution. I'm going to create a new one. Again, you can see the old one. This is for the 2016 YEI app. It's going to be for App Store. I'm going to choose the food justice, and right before I started this step, it totally occurred to me that I forgot the very first thing I was supposed to talk about this video. But over here in iTunes Connect, I already created a new app ID by creating new app and then adding its information. So this part right here where it's asking for app ID and food justice is already there. It's because I already created a place for that's going to, I created a listing that we're going to upload the signed app to eventually. So that's why it's saying food justice, whatever. It's asking which certificate is this going to be associated with. I'm going to choose this one from December 22nd. That is today. It's kind of annoying. You'll notice that I have 2 items in here that look almost identical, or in fact that look identical. iPhone distribution, friends and alumni of Jeep. The only way to tell them apart is their expiration date. So this one, the one that I made a few days ago, that was December 20th, but this one is December 22nd. So that's the one that I'm going to choose. Profile name, I will call this That should do it. Continue. And I'll go ahead and download this thing. I'll move it into my code signing thing. And so I've got these nice and together. Create provisional profile. We did that. Export certificate as a P12 key store. This is where we kind of need to convert this certificate into something that we can upload to Phonegap. We do that by finding our certificate. Again, this is the December 22nd one. Right click on it and hit export. And I can give this whatever name I want. I'll call this and I will tell it to save in right here. Give it a password. Save this password. Don't forget this password. If you forget this password, and it's going to cause a lot of problems down the road. You might remember it right now because we're about to use it, but you have to keep a record of what this password is, because if you lose it, then you can't make changes to the app once it's been listed. You'll have to pull it down and upload a completely new version, which may or may not mean that you would have to create a whole new listing. You don't want to do that. So whatever way you do of securely storing your passwords, please write it down in there. Okay, cool. Now I've got my P12. I've got the 3 things that I need to upload them to Phonegap. I've got the distribution certificate. From that I created a provisional profile. And from the certificate I also created a key store. So now it's time to get back over to Adobe Phonegap. I'll make sure that I'm actually signed in still. I am. There should have been another video on how to upload your stuff to Phonegap. That is, so I won't get into that right now. You see I've already got one right here. I'm going to change this to a different one. I will call this, I'm going to add a key. Food Justice Attempt 02. that all completely worked, but I revoked the credentials in iTunes or in the developer console and then threw them away because I wanted to create something that was totally going to work just for this video. I'll put in the certificate and the provisioning profile. Submit the key. It's going to give you an error saying that the signing key is locked. That has to do with that password that we just created. So I'm going to press this to unlock it and put in the certificate password. That's the password that we wrote down when we were creating the P12 key store. Submit key. Now what just happened right here is that the lock went away. This is kind of a dumb design idea that Phonegap utilizes. I don't know why they do it this way, but I could have typed anything right there. For instance, I'll show you here with the Droid signing. See the Android code signing for how to do that one. I'm just going to type anything I want right here. And it's still going to show up as having unlocked it. And that's because unlocking actually happens during the build of the app, not when you click unlock. So you're just giving it the unlock credentials, and then it's going to feed that into its program when it rebuilds the app. So I don't know. I've been duped into thinking that I had the right thing going. So I'm going to hit rebuild, and either it's going to build the iPhone binary, or it's going to give me an error saying that the password was wrong. And there it goes. When you do this yourself, you'll probably have to do all the, you'll have to try this a bunch of times because there's a lot that can go wrong. You got to do everything completely right. It's a huge pain. That's why it took me so long to figure out how to do it. But at that step, it might tell you that that it doesn't have the right password for the key store. Always double check that you put in the right password, but you might be giving it the right password, but there is some bug that goes on with Phonegap sometimes that you kind of just need to walk away for a bit, like go do something else for half an hour and then give it another try, and then it'll work. I had to deal with that. So I'm going to go ahead and download, I won't update that, .ipa. It's not talking about beer, it's talking about .ipa, the iPhone package payload, or whatever you want to call this thing. That this is the file that we're going to upload to iTunes Connect, and it's going to present to the app reviewers, and then they're going to approve it because it's Christmas time and they should be nice to us.